Hi, welcome to my channel. How are you doing today? Well, I hope you are doing okay from whichever part of the world you are watching this video from. If you are not, well, you are in the right place. My name is Dr. Lubem. I make videos basically on health. I also create public awareness. From time to time, I give some relationship advice. But in this video, I'll be talking about 4 things you should always and make sure you should not give to hypertensive patients or anybody who you know is hypertensive, or the type of things you should try to avoid or they themselves should avoid if they are hypertensive. So if you have a family member, if you have a friend, a relative, or maybe you personally are going through hypertension, well, there are certain things you should try to keep off, so that it will make the treatment itself easy and also make you much more comfortable and more liable to survive it and come out from it. So if you are new to the channel, just subscribe to the button. There's a subscribe button down to support the channel, and make sure that you turn on the notification bell so that anytime I release a video like this, you can definitely see it. So let's get into the video. Right, so hypertension could be caused by so many factors. There are so many factors that could cause hypertension. Age is probably one of the factors that could result, has a contributing factor to hypertension. You also have lifestyle could also contribute to hypertension. So in this video, based on the 4 things I'll be talking about that hypertensive patients should try to avoid, or you should try to not give to hypertensive patients, I'll talk more on the lifestyle. So most people, their type of work or the lifestyle they live is sedentary. Sedentary lifestyle happens to be one of the factors that could result to hypertension, in the sense that when you are living a sedentary lifestyle, it means you're not active. So most times your energy production output reduces, the activeness that you're supposed to be in reduces. So let's say you do less of exercise, and because of that, the blood circulation, a lot of cholesterol is part of fatty acid or from fat. It deposits in your major arteries, and because of that, they clog around the lumen or the passageway of your arteries, and it makes it difficult for blood to pass through. And this makes the blood have a higher tension, because when the lumen or the passageway has been narrowed, it makes the blood more difficult to pass through. So that could result to a high tension, which is known as hypertension. And also eating habits could also result from that. Because if you are eating food that contain a lot of cholesterol and a lot of sugar, it can build up in your system and also cause more blood to kind of make the blood to have a higher concentration of salt. And this can also lead to increase in blood or increase in heart rate. An increase in heart rate eventually also becomes hypertension, because the blood is being pumped at a higher rate than normal. So the first thing you should try to keep away, or try as much as possible not to make sure hypertensive patients or anybody, the first thing is salt. So if you have a family member or anybody, or maybe you yourself, you are hypertensive, try as much as possible to reduce the intake of salt, or don't take too much salt. So another thing is there are different kinds of hypertensiveness. So there's mild, there's severe, and there's just little. I use little in the sense that it's more easier to understand. So if you fall in any of these categories, you know that maybe someone who has a mild hypertension or someone who has a little one, their lifestyle might not really be a huge factor, although it can be a contributing factor, compared to someone that has a very severe hypertension. So you can't expect them to live on the same diet, but try as much as possible to reduce the amount of salt they eat, because salt, it builds up in the system. Salt contains sodium chloride. So when your sodium becomes too much in your body, remember, if you take salt and you pour in water and then it gets to a certain level, you will notice that the water will reduce, because the salt has absorbed a lot of water. And when that kind of process happens in the body, it means there will be tension. There will be a lot of tension in the body, because water will be trying to come out in order to kind of stabilize the salt. And the more that happens, the more tension is being created, and this will result to more of hypertension. Right? So some salt contains calcium, some of them mostly is sodium, and then there are some salt that will contain calcium. So you try as much as possible to reduce your salt intake. The second thing is you should try as much as possible to reduce sugary food or your glucose intake. Now, I understand that like African countries mostly, the type of diet that is being taken in is usually high level of carbohydrate. I'm from Nigeria, and I can tell you that from where we grew up, carbohydrate was like the normal usual meal you take, sometimes morning, afternoon, evening. And high glucose level can also build up to increase your likelihood of developing hypertension, or too much glucose in your system. If you are hypertensive, is most also likely to react, and then you might really be uncomfortable. Because remember what I said about sodium, about the salt. Too much solute in your body could want to kind of attract water, and the more water is coming out of cells in order to balance that solute or that particular glucose level, the more tension is being created in your blood vessels, and the more your hypertensiveness will kind of make it more worse for you to be okay. So you try as much as possible to avoid that. The third thing is alcohol. So if you are hypertensive, you see, one thing with some of the habits that people try to overlook is sometimes these things that you can avoid, or if you choose to avoid, could help you in other areas of your life, not just that particular disease or the disorder that you have. If you try to avoid alcohol, take it to a minimum, it will help you in other areas of your life. Don't abuse alcohol. In fact, if you are hypertensive, I don't see any need why you should even want to take too much of alcohol. Because one thing with this, if you have a problem with the heart, you are most likely also going to have a problem with the kidney, because they are like brothers and sisters. So a problem with the heart, eventually the kidney responds. Because why? The kidney is it's a reflex action in the body. The body is trying to tell the kidney, see, the heart cannot do this thing. Can you help the heart? So the kidney, trying to do so, it will backfire, and then you are putting the kidney at a high risk as well. So the fourth one, last but not the least, try as much as possible to reduce your cholesterol intake or foods that are so rich in fatty acid. Now, don't get it twisted. We need fatty acid in the body. In fact, we need cholesterol, because most of the things that are possible in the body is because of the cholesterol that is in our body. We need cholesterol for insulation. Your adipose tissue need that cholesterol to build up so that you don't get too cold or too warm. It helps to regulate your temperature. So we need it. But when it becomes in excess, when the adipose tissue cannot store it as much as it should, it tries to look for other areas to store it. So in doing so, it could create other complications. So too much fat or lipid intake, because if you are hypertensive, it's most likely that your lipidemia or your lipid profile might be high. In some cases, some people might not really have that high lipid profile, but in most cases, if you're hypertensive, it means your lipid profile could also be high. So imagine if your lipid profile is high, which is the most contributing factor to developing hypertension, and then you start taking in more lipids, it will just make the whole situation worse. So as a hypertensive patient, try as much as possible to reduce the amount of cholesterol, food that contain fat a lot. Reduce it, keep it to a minimum, and then speak to your doctor, and your doctor will tell you the kind of nutrition that will be best for you in that instant. But try as much as possible to reduce or avoid food that have high intake of cholesterol, because that could even worsen your situation. Now, a bonus tip for the video is possible to avoid things that make you stressed or anxiety. Anxiety and stress or emotional imbalance, all of these things can also result to hypertension. They can give you this high BP, and then that over time, high blood pressure over time could also mean the heart develops hypertension. So try as much as possible to always stay happy. Find things that make you happy. Find things that are active and fun to do. If you're the type of person who is alone, so just do things that will not make you feel lonely, that your heart rate will increase. That is different from exercise though. So it doesn't mean you should go to exercise and kill yourself. But what I mean is, try as much as possible not to have this anxiety and stress. Always do things that make you feel happy and you laugh. This could also alleviate your situation. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and also keep up, because every week I release videos like this, and then if you subscribe and turn on the notification bell, you will definitely watch any of my videos. If you have a topic you want me to talk about, you can leave that in the comment section or send it to my email. I will definitely respond. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.